A slanging match has erupted over asylum seekers, with Prime Minister Julia Gillard accusing Opposition Leader Tony Abbott of a wrecking strategy as the blame game continues after the sinking of offshore processing. The Prime Minister has warned it will mean even more boat arrivals. Let's cross to Kerry Axley in Canberra. Kerry, Julia Gillard certainly isn't holding back.
No, she's not, Amber. The PM here is trying to pin blame on Tony Abbott for refusing to support changes to the Migration Act that basically killed off her deal with Malaysia. Now, politically, she's staked a lot on this issue. It's one of the things that she promised to fix up when she became Prime Minister, but now she seems to be back to square one. And Ms Gillard says Tony Abbott has put a political win ahead of the national interest and that Australians should blame him for any future boat arrivals. Let's hear from her and then from Mr Abbott.
Mr Abbott has actually come to the Parliament and said he won't vote in favour of amendments which would enable him, if he was ever Prime Minister, to do what he has said he believes is the best thing to do. I mean, how crassly political and destructive can you get?
The only reason the government has no policy is because of the Prime Minister's stubbornness. She should have known weeks ago that the Malaysia people swap was dead, but she has never had a plan B. This is the Prime Minister's problem. She stubbornly and arrogantly insisted that it had to be her way or no way.
And the opposition is putting pressure on the Immigration Minister. Scott Morrison, the Shadow Immigration Minister, has called on Chris Bowen to resign over this situation. Let's hear the Minister's reaction to that.
This is just typical hyperbole from Mr Morrison. He's got this weird logic. He's got legislation in the House which he's been told is in the national interest. All the advice is it's in the national interest. He won't vote for it, and by some perverse logic he says I should resign. I just don't get that logic. I treat that with the disdain it deserves.
So the answer is no?
No, that's correct.
And from here, the government basically has no choice but to process asylum seekers on shore. And Minister Bowen says mandatory detention will continue, but the government doesn't intend to open any more detention centres. To take the pressure off those detention centres already open, they'll be using bridging visas more often, which means that some asylum seekers who've been in detention can now live and work in the community. And refugee advocates are calling this situation a good result, Amber.
All right, Kerry, it's been a very busy week in Canberra.